Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. Our top story today, Comptroller Schroeder is considering conducting an audit of the Buffalo City School District, particularly the expenditure of grant funds. Now, Mark, if you were to pursue an audit of the school district, you would take a targeted approach in order to maximize the limited resources of your staff.
Right. You know, Patrick, the Buffalo Public School is approximately just under a $1 billion entity. And so we would take a very narrow approach in terms of what we would be looking for. So in the past, now, you know, quite frankly, I've only been the controller for 25 months. This is a time for us to be looking at this because of the concern that many, including myself, have with the Buffalo Public Schools. They are going through a very, very difficult time. And for 2 years in a row, they've showed a operating deficit. And so this would be the time to take a look at it. I don't know if we necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. I did go back into the Comptroller's archives, and in 2006, there was an audit that was conducted by the previous controller, and in also 2004. So we're looking at those types of audits, and plus we have installed recently what I call anniversary audits. So we'll look at some of the things, some of the remedies, some of the recommendations that previous controllers have looked at with the Buffalo Public Schools, and if it still is relevant, we would want to kind of get a status to see how they're doing against those objectives that were set. Plus, we probably would want to add some new dimensions, some new things. There have been several community foundations who have given funds and or services to be helpful to the Buffalo Public Schools. So we're taking a look at it in a very serious way. We want to be helpful. Historically, when we do audits, they are extremely professional. We identify certain findings and then always recommendations and remedies on how to make things work better.
Now, this isn't the first time that there's been problems with grants in the city school district. In fact, you had a special assistant in your office, Claire Waldron, look into the actions by Debbie Buckley, who was an administrator in the school district, who was found to be in connection with upwards of $300,000 of grant funds, which were misappropriated. And you've had Claire Waldron look at these grant funds and look at what happened in the Debbie Buckley case and offer the school district some recommendations about how they can put in tighter financial controls and try to protect the taxpayers' dollars more strongly.
Right. We did that in 2012, and we actually did it in a very interesting way, in that for whatever reason, and I don't make judgments, for whatever reason, the Board of Education, they decided not to disclose certain things that happened. I remember the Buffalo News editorial page was very upset with it, and they wanted to see everything. So I decided that we have a responsibility. I have a standing within the Buffalo Public School as the controller, and so we did exactly that, Patrick. We looked at the case. We made several recommendations, and we sent it to the superintendent and to other members of the administration in hopes that they would take what we have and take it into consideration. So yeah, that's exactly right.
So in addition to your efforts to oversee the spending of funds in the school district, you've also actually refinanced the school district's debt, leading to a savings of more than $60 million by taking advantage of lower interest rates and refinancing this debt and saving the city and taxpayers millions upon millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly right. And out of the $60 million, If you look at the school district's 5-year plan, 52 million of it is earmarked for things to happen in this year and in out years. So you're right. We had an opportunity to be helpful to the Buffalo Public Schools in doing refundings that were callable at the time in 2012, and we were very successful, and we're grateful that the school district has identified that portion, that 52 million, and to use it to benefit the students of the Buffalo Public Schools over the next 5 years.
Now, one of the reasons you were able to refinance this debt at a lower rate is because the city has an improved bond rating, which is partially a result of not only the improvement in the city's economic picture, but also the city's finances have improved. And in fact, State Comptroller Tom DiNapoli was in town, and you just joined him at a press conference when he released the City of Buffalo's fiscal profile, which said that although Buffalo has its challenges, it has much more improved status of its fiscal condition currently, especially when compared to like 10 years ago.
Yeah, no question about it. And it was a press conference that it's the first time I've done a joint press conference along with the State Comptroller and the Mayor of the City of Buffalo. And it was enjoyable only because exactly what you've stated. Listen, when the State Comptroller said that he was going to do these audits of municipalities and school districts across the state to try to detect if there is fiscal distress. Even though last year when he made that announcement, I knew that the city of Buffalo was in pretty good shape. But I endorsed what he was doing because it's always good to have somebody else looking, setting criteria and setting information and making us be clear in terms of what is happening. Had there been a fiscally distressed tool maybe 10 years ago, maybe there wouldn't have been a control board in the city of Buffalo, in other cities and counties and towns across this state. So I think it's a great tool. It's something that I'm very aware of. We've had a staff member look at it, and we know exactly what the criterion is that the state comptroller is using. We knew before he announced we weren't fiscally distressed that we weren't, because we know what the criterion is. The state comptroller did point out some things that that are mostly on a demographic scale as opposed to a ledger sheet that I'm looking at. And so at that press conference, the state comptroller and the mayor addressed those concerns and also outlined what's happening to change it around so that some of the things that the comptroller was concerned about will be alleviated going forward.
Now, many of the things he mentioned in his fiscal profile were some of the things you talked about in the release of the city's comprehensive annual financial report, which showed that the Buffalo City has the highest fund balance in its history at $166 million. And although there are challenges ahead, it's in better fiscal condition than it has seen in decades.
Yeah.
Ever.
No question about it, Patrick. And the state comptroller recognized that, said it, and also said, the state comptroller also suggested that he thought that the hard control board did serve the city of Buffalo well at that particular time. And I don't think there's any question about that. But I was mostly interested when I first became comptroller in 2012, that if there's an opportunity for the comptroller, for the common council, and for the city of Buffalo's mayor to be able to govern and take care of our own finances, that would be best, because the people of the city of Buffalo elected us for a reason. We have the responsibility to manage our finances. And over the last 15 months or so, with the control board going advisory, we've done exactly that. And the state comptroller recognized it, said it, and came in to congratulate the city of Buffalo for a job well done. And you're right, we have challenges. Even this remarkable fund balance, highest fund balance that we've ever had in our history, that money is earmarked not only for this budget cycle, but for some out years because of the responsibility that the administration has in dealing with bargaining units. Some of those monies will be used in the out years. In that, I know it, the mayor knows it, the state comptroller knows it, the council knows it. So I think you're right. There are certain things coming that we are mindful of, but we feel very comfortable that we're headed in the right direction.
Now, one of the reasons Buffalo's emerged from the Fiscal Control Board and emerged from the days when financing was very difficult for our capital projects was that we reduced the debt that the Buffalo has. The $120 million of debt burden has been reduced in the past 10 years alone. So you are looking into reducing that burden even further by not borrowing funds for capital projects that aren't ready to go. So in the past, capital projects were approved and were put in place by the Citizens Planning Commission and approved by the council and the mayor. And in the past, all the capital projects included were borrowed for, upwards of 20-something million, 22 million. So in your first year, you tried to reshape the way that this was done. And you said you're only going to borrow for projects that are ready to go and ready to begin in a prudent amount of time. That has changed the way that these capital projects are done so that you're not incurring interest costs when a project is not ready and the money is just sitting there in a bank account.
Patrick, exactly. Because this happens a lot. Sometimes you do something because it'll have a positive outcome. And then if you continue to do it year after year after year after year, sometimes it then becomes problematic. So for instance, the Citizens Planning Commission, they do a wonderful job. These are men and women, citizens, who come together and they identify capital projects that are necessary in the city of Buffalo. This isn't anything new. This started nearly 58 years ago. The council president at the time was Peter B. Crotty. He came from our neighborhood. He was a Milford boy. And he was the council president. And he initiated what is called the Capital Expenditure Committee, similar to what this committee is. And so what happened, though, the city of Buffalo got into this routine that whatever they say, along with the mayor and the common council, we need $22 million worth of capital projects. Oh, good. And then the comptroller goes to the marketplace, and then those monies sit.
For
and
years.
It's problematic. And I'm not doing it, and I won't do it, and I haven't done it. And so what we do is we work with the administration, and we're clear. Okay, so the maximum amount of money that we can go to the marketplace this spring is $22 million. But guess what? We're not going unless we know you're able to spend it within that year. And last year, we went to the market and we only went for $17.9 million. And Patrick, I'm analyzing right now how the city is doing in spending that amount and the amount that was borrowed the previous year, $22 million. And I can tell you, if it isn't the full amount of what we went to the marketplace for, I will not go to the marketplace for anything less than what they can spend in a given year.
Really, the issue here is that the city isn't able to spend the full $22 million and can barely spend what is put aside for these projects. So your thought is, don't borrow the whole thing. Borrow just what you need right now this year, and then down the line when you are ready, then you can borrow the funds, and therefore we wouldn't be incurring the interest costs that we would if we were to borrow right off the bat.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. And last year we did, for the first time in a long time, what is called a bond anticipation note. We borrowed $17.9 million virtually it's free money.
Mm-hmm. At 1/3%, I believe.
It was so low. It was like 0.33%, right? And so we did good. Now what I have to look at in the to analyze this to see exactly how the city of Buffalo has done in spending that 17.9, because I can tell you I'm not afraid. I will go to the marketplace this spring for whatever the amount is, and if the city of Buffalo is only able to spend $13 million or $14 million, that's what we're going to do. There are ways that if later on in the year there's an opportunity for them to spend more, we know what to do. We can do that for them. But you're right, based on what you said in the beginning, why would we borrow $22 million when we know they're only going to spend 15 or 14, because that hurts us in debt service in going forward, and we're just not going to allow it.
Now, Mark, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the marina and the new updates on the RFP process that's going place for a new operator.
Okay, Patrick, great.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Controller's Corner.
The Buffalo Employment and Training Center is your one-stop source. The center conveniently brings employment, training, and other workforce services to customers and employers in a one-stop environment. And the center is open and free to anyone seeking employment. If you are out of work, not happy with your current job, or are looking to improve your computer skills, the Buffalo Employment and Training Center is right for you. We are conveniently located in downtown Buffalo at 77 Goodell Street with plenty of free parking. So, what are you waiting for? Give us a call at 856-JOBS. That's 856-JOBS today.
Hi, welcome back to Comptroller's Corner. I'm your host, Pat Curry, joined as always by Buffalo Comptroller Mark Schroeder. In September of 2013, the Comptroller conducted an audit of the Erie Basin Marina that found that $343,000 worth of revenue was owed to the city by the operator Brandon Services. Subsequent audits of the 2013 season and prior audits of the 2005 to 2007 season has increased that number to more than $500,000 that is owed to the city by this operator. Because of this, the city went to the bidding process to procure new operators for both the marina and the Hatch restaurant. Now, Mark, you've been informed by the commissioner that there's a very strong proposal for the operations of the marina by a company with a very solid reputation statewide. They have marinas in North Tonawanda, Canandaigua, Lake George, Rochester, Syracuse, and they have put forth a very strong proposal to ensure that not only that the marina is open on time, but also the boaters get a better product at the end of the day from the city of Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly, Patrick. And the citizens, especially those who view our show, they understand exactly what the powers are of a controller. It's limited. And so therefore, when we do our job and we do it correctly, and we did in this particular audit, and we showed clearly that the city of Buffalo was being underpaid by a vendor. Also, they weren't exactly playing by the rules. Okay, so we made it abundantly clear in our audit and in our recommendations and remedies. We then gave it to the city of Buffalo, who has the responsibility, the mayor and the commissioner, in this particular case of Public Works. They have the responsibility. And I give them credit. I give them credit because there have been previous audits before, and nothing ever really happened. And I especially give the city auditor, Kevin Kaufman, and also our staff for the fine work that they did on this, because essentially, Patrick, what we did is we forced the city of Buffalo to move and to do something different. Because in past audits, it was clear we were being underpaid. Why they were even the vendor in the first place in 2012 is beyond me. But they're not going to be right now this season. When the season starts in 2014, there will be new vendors, plural. We also made that recommendation. You should have a vendor that knows exactly what they're doing in the slip and marina business, and you should have a vendor that knows how to run a restaurant on the waterfront. And that's exactly what the city is going to do. The city of Buffalo, through the mayor and through the commissioner of public works, will be announcing shortly who those vendors are. And the slip holders and those who are most interested in the Erie Basin Marina should know that we're being told that the season will open on time, and thank God, because it has been a rough winter and people want to get out there on the water.
Now, you mentioned Kevin Kaufman, and we mentioned Claire Waldron before. Both those CPAs in your office worked with the Commissioner Stepniak on developing a strong RFP, request for proposal, in order to clear up any sort of problems with, who's responsible for maintenance at the marina. So the proposal that was put forth by this potential marina operator, it makes it very clear who's responsible for what, because in the audit of the previous operator, Brandon Services, they took an $87,000 deduction for maintenance, and then often tried to claim that they weren't responsible for the maintenance that they didn't or didn't do.
Exactly.
And they tried to take additional maintenance, 6 figures worth over the years. So it was important that the commissioner and the 2 CPAs in your staff made sure that this RFP process included and outlined exactly who's responsible for what maintenance at the marina, and this proposal will do that.
Exactly. And again, I haven't been shy about constructively criticizing the administration, but I also give credit where credit is due. And I will tell you, the Commissioner Steve Stepniak, and the administration, when we offered to be helpful, and you're right, Patrick, when I first got there 2 years ago, in my staff, we had 1 CPA. We now have 8 CPAs, soon to be 8. 1 is studying. So we have 7. And I will tell you, when I offer the services of my staff to be helpful, to help with the RFP, to help with the contract, take advantage of it, and they have. And I think it's going to be a much better proposal and a much better contract going forward when the people expect the Comptroller's office and the Mayor's office to work together. This is a perfect example of us working together that benefits the community and especially the ledger sheet, because we're going to get more money coming in immediately. And it's already happening within the cafeteria at City Hall, where there has been a vendor change, and already the basis of the contract benefits the city of Buffalo right from the beginning, right?
Right. In fact, in the cafeteria, which was previously administered by Brandon Services' sister company, Brandon Services Part 2, there was a 2.5-year period where they didn't make a single payment to the city in rent. Now, this new cafeteria operator, Sue's Deli, is paying the city on a monthly basis. And not only are they paying the city in a timely manner, but they're also paying 5 times the amount of rent that Brandon Services was. And at the end of the day, city employees have been raving about the quality and the low prices down at the deli, and certainly the atmosphere looks 10 times better.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that we've said, and I'm saying this time after time, the Common Council knows it, the mayor knows it, and all of the commissioners know it. We are doing anniversary audits. So whatever we said a year ago, we're going to say again at the anniversary. And if they're doing it, wonderful. If they're not doing it, that could be the reasons why we're being underpaid or having problems within that particular department.
And the proposal for the marina also has a monthly report function to it. And we mentioned the Hatch Restaurant. That is a separate proposal, and the city is just about to wrap up that RFP process. They've had at least 1 proposal, and they expect to have more coming in the next day or so. So that'll be another opportunity to get a first-class operator at the marina. And you think that a similar situation will happen at the Hatch and the marina that happened downstairs, where you get a better product and more money for the taxpayers.
Yeah. So, there was a great county comptroller. Her name was Elfrida Sleminski. She's alive and well, and she was famous for saying she's the watchdog. And so I will tell you, I take that very, very seriously. And when the city of Buffalo went to the bond market last year for $1 million renovation to the Hatch, and then to know I know that we're being underpaid, that is problematic. And so that is the reason why going to a new vendor with a new opportunity and the renovations and the new floor is going to be absolutely outstanding, and it's going to work, and we're going to keep watching it on an ongoing basis.
And this is a very reputable company with a great deal of experience running marinas, so you don't think there'll be any issue. You think boaters will definitely get their slips on time, and there'll be no hiccups or bumps along the road, and they'll get a better product at the end of the day.
So I can only go on what we're being told by the administration. And when the administration tells us that they're on schedule, when the administration tells us they feel very comfortable about the RFP process on both vendors for the marina and for the restaurant, I can only go with what they're telling us. But I do know, because you know, Patrick, I'm out there. I go to every single neighborhood. I move around this city because I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to represent the entire city of Buffalo. And many slip holders have told me they want this to open on time. And so, I tell them, well, I'm not the one who's kind of signing the contract here, but I am making it real clear to them that it appears that everything is going well, and I just hope we get started on time this year.
Now, Mark, you come from the private sector. Part of your leadership function has been to develop a strategic plan for your department, which was so important to you when you worked in the private sector. So you just recently installed strategic focus posters in each of the divisions of your department in order to have the employees know exactly where the department's goals are and what the objectives are and how we reach those goals and objectives.
Yeah, so I don't want to brag, but Patrick, every once in a while, if you don't toot your own horn, right? So I can guarantee you this. The Comptroller's office has been operating since 1848. And I can suggest to you and to others, there's never been a strategic plan that has been thought out with each and every division, which are headed by CPAs, coming up with different objectives that are important, including training for all of the people that work for us. And I will tell you, I am so proud of all of them. The deputy controllers, Greg Szymanski, Bill Ferguson, Kevin Kaufman, and my first deputy, and Forty Sherino. We are conducting training classes to help not only our employees sit for the next test that they're taking through civil service, but also many of them are going to college for MBAs, and we have now a young woman in the accounting department, Megan Blake. She is sitting for a CPA, and we're doing everything we can to help them. That is a part of our strategic plan. A part of our strategic plan is doing something with idle funds, which I talk about, that I know everybody gets tired of me talking about, but it's part of our strategic plan. And guess what? We've executed it, and we've brought in excess of $60,000, which you have often said, that could pay for a police officer or for a fireman. We can't say what the money is going to be used for. That goes to a general fund. But that is a part of our overall strategic plan. I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of the management staff that I've hired over the last 2 years who are executing it each and every day.
Now, Mark, we're almost out of time, but I did want to mention one more thing. In your strategic plan, you said that you want to maximize the utilization of technology. So that's why you set up a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and a Twitter handle in order to better communicate with the public. And you're encouraging the folks at home to check out all those outlets on the internet in order to learn what we're doing in this office, in addition to the city-buffalo.com Comptroller website, which has a wealth of information on the city's finances.
Yeah, no question about it. And one thing that I've said before, and I'll say again, our website, we have the best website in the nation. And the reason why is because we have all the pertinent information, everything that you would want to know, whether you're a potential investor or whether or not you're a citizen of Buffalo. If you want to know what's happening within the city of Buffalo in the Comptroller's office, go to our website.
And check out that website at www.city-buffalo/Comptroller, and you can, at that website, get links to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter handle. So that's all the time we have today for Comptroller's Corner. Thank you at home for joining us, and we'll see you next time. This is Pat Curry on behalf of Mark Schroeder, signing off.